Welcome to the Brew Life Podcast Show, episode 12. I'm your host, Steven, and today we're talking about entering the flow of state. Enjoy the show. I say empty your mind, be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water in a cup, it becomes a cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes a bottle. If you put water into the teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. Okay, so right there, I just tried to make a Bruce Lee impression. I'm not really sure how that really went, but that's a really good quote of just explaining what the flow state is. You just, I feel like when you're in the flow state, you don't think, you just do, in my opinion, because you really do flow like water. Water, it just do. Water never thinks what it's doing, it just do. And even if it mess up, like the crash, it gets back up. And now with water, we're like water as well. I mean, we're 70% water around that. And it just goes to show that I feel like entering the flow state is one of the best experience that anyone can go into, because once you enter in the flow state, everything feels super different in such a good way. It feels so natural. You feel like yourself. You feel alive. You feel I don't know how to explain it. But I do know for this for sure. Everyone has once in their lives has entered in the flow state. Everyone has entered it in. And I feel like, like several ways that we do, like, I guess they say, like, signs that we are in the flow state is, I feel like is that we are 100% in the present moment, and that the past and the future becomes irrelevant. Once you're in the flow state, you're not really worrying about the past or the future. You're not really worrying about what's going to happen, once you do this, what's going to happen, like, or like what you did in the past. You're 100% in that moment. Like, you are really 100% in that experience, in that present state. And I feel like another thing that once we enter the flow state is that the ego seems to be really irrelevant as well. The ego seems like is not there. Nothing, like, the ego is not really holding you back, whether you're doing something that you're getting out of your comfort zone with, or you're trying to interact with others. The ego is not there at all. Ego just blurs out. You don't even think about the ego. You don't even think about what other people think. You don't even think about, like, oh, what if I do this? What she's gonna think? What he's gonna think? You don't really think about other people's opinions. And I feel like when you enter the flow state, the opinions of other people doesn't really matter. You don't really care about it. Like, for example, if you're doing some sport, if you fail, you don't really care about it. If you succeed, you don't really care about it. You're just in that flow state. And if you mess up, like, for, say, just like in martial arts, mess up a move, then you don't really care at all. Hold on, let me get some tea real quick. Got some tea near me. Recently I've been kind of sick. I'm still kind of recovering, but I just feel like I just want to make this episode. So, okay, back to the topic. Like, when you mess up, or just any of that, you just pick yourself back up and you just don't really think about it. You're not really caring about what other people think. You're not really you don't care about success or failure. You just accept the outcome of that thing. And I feel like that's just like another way of just entering in the flow state. And I think another thing that when we enter the flow state is that there's no distractions. Like, distractions become a blur as well. Like distractions becomes irrelevant as well. And with distractions, like let's say whether you're using your phone a lot, when you're trying to do this uncomfortable thing, when you're trying to stay productive, that those distractions in you, it doesn't really bother you. Like there's no like distractions in the present moment. You just don't really think about it. Like you're just so much in the zone. You have that tunnel vision in you, and you just feel so much in the flow state. It feels very natural, like I said, and that's what the flow state is. It just feels natural in you. You just do, don't think, do. Flowing like water. Water doesn't think. Water just do. And like when water messes up too with with waves of crashes and stuff. Water doesn't care about that though. Water just moves on and just keep on going. Water is just a very of a flow of state. Like if you really like a river, and when you see that river, like it just flows naturally. Water just is in that moment, and at the same time, that we can be like water as well, like Bruce Lee says. I really believe in that, and I've been seeing that there's been so many times in my life that I have been in the flow state and it has just felt really, really amazing, in my opinion. Just because of the fact that you're just 100% in the moment. You're grateful. You are, you know, you just be yourself. You're 100% expressing yourself. There's no persona mask under you. There's no ego trying to hold you back. There's nothing. But but, excuse me, but like, you're just 100% fully expressing yourself, like I said. And yeah, today's episode, we'll be talking about entering the flow of state and why it's really good to enter in the flow of state. And let me mind you, I feel like in order to enter in the flow of state, it has to happen naturally. It can't happen by force, because if you try to enter the flow of state by force, then sorry, it's never gonna happen. But if you just, like I said, don't think, if you just don't think about it, it naturally just happens over time. And yeah, just the flow of state. Now, like I said, or to enter in the flow state, it just naturally happens. You can't just force it upon. It's like trying to force yourself to go to sleep, and when you try to do it, you're just struggling to go to sleep. You can't go to bed. You're just like moving around. You're overthinking about it, and that's a very bad way of trying to go to sleep. And I feel like with the flow, like going to sleep, I feel like we're in a flow state when we go to sleep as well, in a natural way. And in order, I feel like, to enter in the flow state, you have to be a part. Like Bruce Lee says, how water, when you put water into a cup, it becomes a cup, right? We have to be fully become that, situation that we're in. Whether, for example, dancing, movement, you have to become part of that movement within you. You know, be a part, adapt to that movements of you dancing, and it'll just naturally happen without even thinking about it, without even having worries or having negative thoughts of what people, about other people's opinions, or if you're even doing this right or wrong, because at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. Even if you mess up, that's okay. And that's still in the flow state. Flow state is never really perfect. It gotta mess up sometimes, but you just get yourself back up. Just like with water, have it crash. And I feel like you have to be emerged with that situation that you're in. Sports is a really good example of just talking about it. One way is just being completely in the present and just being part of that movement, like adapting to yourself with that movement, focusing on it, being 100% present. I feel like it goes with as well with sparring as well. I feel like sparring and just boxing, that can actually enter you into the flow state. I've sparred before, and at the first, the first few tries when I did it, it was really hard for me just because I had that fear in me. I was overthinking. I had, like when I faced my component, it was really scary to me, and I always used to flinch. I always used to just do things that, just basically not taking action, and just instead of me not doing, I was just thinking, you know, and I feel like for sparring, you can easily go into the flow of space. The more you get into it, because sparring, it puts you in the position where you have to be 100% in the present moment. Don't really think about the future of like, oh, what's gonna happen, or don't really think about the past, or like, oh, I'm not good enough to do this, or something like that. You have to be 100% immersed with that. Be a part of that situation. Be a part of it. Feel that movement of just you punching. Be a like, transfer that energy in you. Like, transfer. I feel like with martial arts and stuff, it's never really about strength. It's more about energy. Transferring energy in you. If you're trying to, do that jab, transfer that energy in you and just do it. Like, go full force with that. And then just pull it back out, you know? And I feel like, energy can never die. It can only be transferred. And we have energy in us. It's all proven that everything is energy, through frequencies, through me talking to my voice. That's frequency, that's energy. Okay? And that's as well with the flow state. Energy is really important. Transfer that energy into something good. Transfer that energy into a flow of state. And once you do that, you feel alive. You feel natural. You don't really think about, just things, or overthink, or get distracted by other things. And, with sparring, well, no, like when you face your component, like when you face that your component to eye, that can be really important. Just focusing on that, on your component, just focusing and just taking action. Even if you mess up, that's completely okay. It's completely okay. Just get yourself back up and just keep on fighting. And it just goes with any type of sport. The reason why I listed sparring and dance, because those are the two things I mostly experience when I'm in the flow of state, or just anything discomfortable. Like, heck, even talking to other people. Like, like, most of the times, with social anxiety, we're always so worried about what's going to happen in the future once we talk to this person. Whether it's a person that we're really attracted to, or whether it's just trying to get out of comfort zone, trying to make new friends, or something like that. It's just like you're just always worrying, like you're just overthinking about like a basic conversation. But once you're in a flow of state, right? You don't really care about what you think. It's like it just comes so natural to you when you're talking towards that person. Like, it's so easy to make eye contact. It's so easy to say words without even thinking. Now, that's why I say don't think, do. Just like with conversation with other people. Have you ever just had a conversation with a person that is never really in your comfort zone, and it just happened naturally? You don't even think about it. Or just like, a person, that you may not find attractive, you don't really like think about the conversation. You don't really overthink it. You just say it without even thinking. It's like your subconscious mind knows what it's doing. It's like your subconscious mind is doing the job for you, and it just comes out naturally. The conversation just comes out naturally. Compared to, like, if you're attracted to some person, it, like, all of a sudden we just get anxiety. We just start overthinking about it, and it can suck sometimes. I'm still trying to, like, face that fear in me of like talking to other people and stuff. And just yeah. So whatever it is, I feel like with the flow state, you know, must be emerged. You have to be 100% in the present state, you know. And also, if you want to really do this, meditation is so important with the flow state, because when you're meditating, you know, sometimes when you start meditating, you know, you just get like that resistance in you. You know, you got impatience in you. And I really feel that sometimes when I meditate as well. Sometimes I still feel that when I meditate. You know, there's a lot of thinking in your mind of why you shouldn't do it, a lot of impatience, you know, resistance, all that stuff. And the more you meditate, you know, it's really, you know, easier to adapt to those, you know, thinking of just resistance. And you know, I already made an episode about meditation, which is episode 4, the importance of meditations. But to wrap that episode up, it's just basically when you meditate, just watch what you're thinking, watch your thoughts, don't resist. Like I said, just don't resist. You're not your thoughts. And just like just start watching your thoughts, you know. Never, like, don't judge what you're thinking. You know, there's no good or bad thought. There's just, you know, you just, and there's not like, you're not like ignoring it as well. You're just noticing it. Try to notice your thoughts and just watch it go, come and go. Okay? And just be in that flow state. And once you do that, just watching your thoughts and just other things you can do, just focusing on your breathing, noticing your surrounding, you know, where you're meditating. That can really help you a lot when you just come to that flow state. And yeah, and I think another way of just, you know, going to the flow state is just like getting out of your comfort zone. I feel like this is definitely a big one. Just getting out of your comfort zone and just start doing some movement. Just start doing things. Just start trying something new. And when you first try to do it, it's going to be hard. You're going to have a lot of resistance. Like I said, just like with sparring. When I tried to spar for the first time, a lot of resistance, a lot of fear in me, a lot of overthinking in me. And though the more I kept on doing it and doing it, the more that fear just went away. You know, the more I was being focused in the moment and not really caring of what I would do in that sparring, like, no, sparring match with a component. And yeah, just like do something out of your comfort zone. I feel like the more and more you get out of your comfort zone, the more you're going to be in the flow state. Because like I said, you know, like comfort, there's no growth in comfort. Like, you know, in order to enter the flow state, you gotta be discomfortable sometimes. You got to just do something that is bigger than yourself, I guess you can say. Though, like, once you do something like, you know, playing sports and stuff, then it just naturally becomes comfortable to you. It just naturally becomes really easier to do, as I feel like. Another thing, you know, just entering the flow state that I've seen by my perspective is creating something. You know, imagination, creativity. Let your imagination flow. You know, like once our imagination is in a flow state, and like our creativity is just so, I don't know how to explain it, but like we have so much creativity in us, and once we, you know, translate our thoughts into reality, it just becomes so fun to do. And also, I think that's another thing with the flow state. It's just making it fun to do. You know, for example, like if you're like, for example, like if you're learning something that you really want to do, then most definitely you're going to be in the flow state because you're 100% focused on that topic that you're willing to learn. You know, on comparing to like if you're being forced to learn something in school, it's very, very hard to focus on it. It's very hard to focus. It's very, you can get distracted. You just start overthinking about it. Like you're just not interested. But like if you're just doing the things that you're taking interest of and wanting to learn something or create something, you're 100% in that moment. And you're just, you have like that brain fog in you is just gone. I guess it's just gone. And I just feel like that's another thing with it as well. And also, just like I said, just building new habits is building some, like, build good habits. And I feel like that would be entered in the flow state, like meditation, just exercise. Those two keys, they can get you in the flow state very naturally, and they will get you into the flow state. And or just, getting your comfort zone, talking to other people. What, this was like, what, a week ago, I think I say, like, I think, uh I was basically getting out of my comfort zone of, like, trying to at least, give out business cards to a brand I'm currently been making. And, you know, it was very discomfortable, though. When I did it, the more I did it, the more I was in the flow state, the more I just didn't really care about what other people's opinions. And, I started overthinking, what if they reject me and, like, say no, they're not interested or something like that. And I actually did got some rejection of just people saying no. And that's totally okay. I'm totally fine with that. You're going to mess up. Just like in sparring. I guess they say one of my teachers in martial arts, this is what he says, okay? You're going to take some, and you're going to, how do you put it? Okay. You're going to eat some, and you're going to take, okay, you're going to take some, and you're going to eat some. Just like in sparring. You're going to get punched, no matter what. You're going to get punched, you're going to get kicked, you're going to get hurt, and sometimes you're going to take the W. You're going to punch your other opponent. You're going to, kick your other opponent, or defend yourself, or, counterattack it. Sometimes you just gotta eat some. Okay, you just gotta eat some, and that's totally okay. That's just the experience, because we're going to have to mess up one way or another. And with the flow state, like I said, there is no. I feel like with the flow state, there is no failure or success at all. There's none at all, and I've been seeing that as well. Like, failure and success, it's just, you just don't really care, like I said. So, if you're doing something that you're afraid of getting rejected of, like I said, just use my martial arts teacher's quote. Sometimes you're going to eat some. I don't know how to explain it, but I kind of forgot, because I haven't been sparring in a while. But, like, sometimes you're going to take some. Sometimes you're going to eat some. And, what he means by eating is just, like, you're going to get punched. Sometimes, you're going to punch your opponent. And that's totally okay. And just another thing with the flow state is, like, your subconscious mind is really, I feel like it is really into play with the subconscious mind, because, with the conscious mind, it's always thinking about things that are not really for say in this present moment. The conscious mind is always going to worry about things that is going to happen in the future, or just overthink about anything, right? Like, subconscious mind, you just don't really think. Like I said, you just do. And it just feels natural. Like, when you're in the flow state, like, if you really want to know if you're in the flow state, it feels natural. It feels great inside of you. You feel happy. And actually, that's another thing with the flow state. You just feel energetic. You feel happy. And you're not really afraid to express your positive emotions. You don't really care about what other people think. And just, yeah, man. And I feel like discomfortable situations can really get us into the flow state, because I feel like, for me, when I go, like, when I go into my comfort zone, the flow state is not really there. Though when I do get out of my comfort zone, sometimes, the flow state isn't really there. Sometimes I'm going to overthink. Sometimes I'm going to just overanalyze everything. But, like, the more I just get out of my comfort zone, the more I just get used to it and just be in that flow state. And I feel like was one way when I was in the flow state, I talked about how giving out business cards to other people. That was really uncomfortable for me, but I really managed to pull through it. And another thing is just like, let's see, when I was doing ice skating. Okay, ice skating. Okay, the first time when I entered that ice skating rink, uh, it was very discomfortable. I was actually scared. I was just overthinking about it. I couldn't really balance. I was holding on like to like the walls, and just, oh man, I was like overthinking everything. I was worrying. I was thinking about the future too much. Like, what if I fall? What if I slip? What if this happens? What if I crash into these other people? What if I get hurt? And the more and more I did ice skating and stuff, the more I entered in the flow state just naturally. Like, I don't really know how. You know, like, okay, so I'm back. Sorry for the interruption, but ice skating became a lot more natural to me. It became a lot more natural just overall. Like, I was completely 100% in that moment. Like, I just knew my surroundings. I just adapt to that surrounding of doing, ice skating. And I just really got used to it, you know. And I don't even think, yeah, I didn't even fall once when after all those times. Even though okay, I say this, I almost fall twice though. I kind of messed up, but other than that, it really became like I was in the flow state for some reason, and like I was really in the flow state. I really do feel like that. I really do feel strongly about that, and like I don't even know how to explain it. And also just like talking to other people, it was like I wasn't really scared about like really scared to talk to others. Whether through my friends and stuff, and like the ego, that ego inside me just didn't really seem to be there. Like it just disappeared all of a sudden when I was in that moment, when I was in the zone. And while I was in the zone, it was very fun for the most part. I just felt very expressive towards other people, and it was just really fun of just how other people, how other my friends, they were like struggling on how to ice skate as well. They were slipping, they were falling just like me, and that's totally okay. That's just the experience. Sometimes we're going to have to mess up. Sometimes you're going to eat some. That's completely okay. And while in that flow state, I was just very in a happy moment. Like I was just 100% in the moment. I was in the now. And also just that social anxiety of interacting with other people was just gone. Because I remember, when I was going to the ice skating, event and stuff, I was just started overthinking about and like things like conversations with other people in the club and stuff. And it didn't feel right. Until I feel like I just started calming myself down, and after that, it felt really natural overall, and just I was just in the flow state. It just felt really natural to me. Like I was just getting really used to doing ice skating at that time, and I didn't really have to rely on anything, and I could just really do it by myself, and it was just overall really fun. Even though I did it really slow, I couldn't really do it like the advanced like super fast stuff, but like hey, at least I still managed to pull it off, and yeah, and man, there's like a lot of times I feel like I've been in the flow state, and I just really want you guys get yourself thinking about like when was the last time you got in the flow state? Like when was the last time everything felt natural? When was the last time you were in the now? You were in that zone. You didn't really care about time. You didn't really care about your like what other people think. You didn't really care if you messed up. You were just there. You were just flowing like water. Anyways, oh man, is there anything to add? I'm really trying to think right now. Like, is there anything to talk about? I had this one topic. Okay, and I feel like okay, let's dive deep into more of like the martial arts stuff. And I actually kind of forgot to say this in the last episode of the law of attraction, and I really wish I did put it, but in the flow state, with martial arts, especially with board breaking, when you're breaking a board, that can like it's just like it's kind of like it's like facing something that it seems to be like your bigger self, even though it's not really. Like when you break that board, when you just try to break it, you face like you just focus on that board, and just having good positive thoughts in you. I feel like also having just positive affirmations will also get you in the flow state. Just saying, I'm confident. I can do this. I'm a winner. I am positivity. I am successful. I'm grateful. I'm gratitude. All those other stuff, will get you in the flow state. And also, I'm kind of talking about the law of attraction as well. But I just want to talk about this because, when I was about to break my board in martial arts, and what I guess my martial arts teacher just say this like he put it like this way, and he actually did talk about the law of attraction, and he just basically says like, when we're going into a tough situation, when we're going into a discomfortable situation, most of the times we take the easy way out. Most of the times we tend to overthink about it. We tend to put negative thinking because it's a lot easier to get out of a situation that's very uncomfortable than just actually doing. And he says like how even researchers, there are studies saying that people with negative thinking and stuff, they had like a group of people who had negative, who thought negatively, and a group of people who thought positively, right? And the people who thought negatively, when they thought negatively and got into that discomfortable situation, when they got into that situation that's quote unquote bigger than themselves, then they never really, I guess you say, achieve it. They never really pull it off, I guess you say, because they just had that self-doubt in them. They have that negative thinking. They just thought really negatively, and that became their reality, that became their reality, and they translated to that. While people who had positive thinking, and when they got out of their comfort zone and they actually did that thing, they had they 100%, achieve that thing, right? Even if, they mess up sometimes, they didn't really care. They still, pick themselves back up and still do it. And, he was saying when we were about to break the board, it's just imagine yourself breaking the board. Imagine you in that situation. Imagine, like, feel the success in you when you're breaking this board. Feel this, really envision of you breaking the board. Really just envision it, and then just envision the outcome, envision the success of it. And he's just saying this, putting positive thinking into you, and if you even mess up, that's totally okay, and I did this, and I had that positive thinking into me, and I'll say I messed up like at least 3 times. It took me like 3 times just to break that board, though I managed to pull it off, and it felt very natural to me. Because like when I was really breaking that board, with my foot, and I was doing like a backside kick, it really felt natural to me. Especially how, I was doing, like a dominant, not, I don't know how to explain, like a dominant like leg, like a leg that I barely don't really like a leg that I don't really use with kicking. I usually use my left leg to kick, though my right, it can be sometimes discomfortable to kick with it. But like, I just made that decision. I want to do this, break this board with my right leg, just because of the fact that, my right leg never really kicked any boards and it's mostly been my left leg. And I had that positive thinking in me. And even if I mess up, I still had, I still envision it. I still just calm myself down. I just focus what's inside of me, like my breathing and stuff. And then and I feel like the fourth time, I feel like that's when it really happened. Like, it just naturally happened. Like, I just naturally just broke the board. It just felt really amazing just to do it. And just like, yeah, with the flow of state, I feel like the flow of state can, combine itself with the law of attraction as well. Because when you're in a flow state, you also have just some positive thinking in you for some reason. You just have a lot of positive affirmations in you. And yeah, just like with the board breaking, envision the thing that you really want, translating into reality. And I really wish I said this in the last episode, but I just want to say that now. I feel like that does relate to in the flow state. Because, like, think about Bruce Lee, Bruce Lee, he has been in, like, many tough situations dealing with, fighting with others. And he didn't really care about fear, He looked fear into his eyes, and Bruce Lee just did it. Like, he didn't really think about it. And, it was like, everything was just, he was just in a natural state. He was in a state of flow with water. And let me just say that, again, just be water, because we are water. Because water, if you really think about it, water is just very calm. Water is just very soothing, and water overall is just in a balanced state. And that was just water do. And I feel like that's with some, with some animals as well. Animals, they sometimes just be in the zone. They don't really think. They just do as well. And yeah. So overall, thank you guys for listening to this podcast episode. I really hope this helped you guys some as well. And I just really enjoy talking about this topic. Man, we made it to episode 12. That's really amazing as well. We made it to the 2 digits. And I guess we're just going to keep on going as well. And also, I really would like other people on the show as well. So, just contact me any shape or form, on my Instagram, steven.cubs, or on the Brew of Life podcast show on Instagram. And man, what is else to put? And also, I've been doing other stuff, like my brands and businesses. I'll put that in the description below this podcast episode if you really want to check it out. Right now, I've been trying to, manage to make 2 businesses and dive into that entrepreneur mindset, I guess you could say. And just, yeah. So thank you guys for listening. And just remember, be in the flow state and be like water, and just adapt to that thing that you really want to adapt. Just focus, Anyways, my name is Steven. This is the Brew of Life podcast show. Signing off.